Hi guys, and welcome to my review of the Nokia Lumia 735. Not the freshest device anymore, but since I've reviewed pretty much all the important budget phones right now for Windows Phone, which would be the 830, the 640 and 640 XL, I think something would be missing if I wouldn't review this, so I wanted to, and I will also make a budget phone buyer's guide after this review. But for now, let's check what we have here. The 735, if you maybe already saw the title, spoils quite a lot, because I said it is my favorite Windows phone for a nice budget. But why exactly? Let's find out. The most important thing for me on a device in the recent times has become the in-hand feel, and this is where I think this device is unmatched. Due to its really compact size, if you compare it with 5.2 inch, you can see it is quite a bit shorter and also a little bit narrower, but this little bit that it is narrow makes a whole lot of difference, because I can easily get to all sides, no problems here at all, and this is just amazing. But that's far from all. We have nice little things like this, not 90-degree angle with a very subtle curve, so it's not too hard on the hand, and this makes it easy to grip securely. It sits proper in the hand, and this curve is maybe the best thing, because this curve for some reason, and along with the slight curve on the back, that does make it wobble a little bit, but really, as you can see, not a lot, but feel so amazing in your hand. Maybe that's just the perfect curve for my hand, but it feels super secure, super amazing in the hand. And also one thing that is maybe a reason for that is this glossy back, because yes, usually glossy is a fingerprint magnet, it is slimy, it is not grippy, but this glossy finish has been done pretty much perfectly, because it is super grippy at pretty much all the times. Yes, if you sweat extremely and maybe the device is greased all up, it could become slippery, but at least for right now, for me, it never was the case, maybe because it's also so compact, but it feels amazing. And also super solid. You can take off the back, but for some kind of thing, you can see here, it is almost a unibody look. You can take it off. The battery is replaceable, also SIM card tray and a micro SD card, and that has been made so solid because you have to press like here in, and then you can take it off. And this has been done so solid because the device doesn't squeak, doesn't bend, doesn't do anything, and feels just super solid. Otherwise, what do we have? Headphone jack on the top. At the bottom we have the micro USB. On the back here we have the flash, a little microphone and the camera, and here we have the speaker. Here we have the buttons, power and volume rocker. I personally think the power button is a little bit too low. I would wish for it to be here, but of course that always depends on your size of the hands. But the buttons itself, very nice, very clicky. This has been done great, and you don't even need the power button because you have double tap to wake, and on the navigation bar double tap to sleep. It wasn't 100% reliable. I had a few times where I just had to unlock it with the button and just lock it again for it to work, but that's a minor thing. Usually, as you can see here, it doesn't always work, but I'm perfectly happy with it. So once again, it feels very substantial in the hand, has a really nice weight balance, feels very great, super solid, premium even though it's not premium priced, and of course the glossy thing is your personal preference. I like it a lot, and the color is also amazing, but I think before I'm starting to drool over this, let's just take the display. We have a 4.7 inch AMOLED display with a resolution of 1280 by 720, so 720p. For this size, this resolution is absolutely good enough. With Windows and all the fonts, how it scales and behaves, this has been done really nice. No complaints here, everything is still sharp. Of course, I would wish for a 1080p display, but I'm actually absolutely fine with that. The white for an AMOLED display is actually quite nice, because usually AMOLED display tends to be a bit too yellow, but this has been done quite. It is slightly warmer, but definitely acceptable. The blacks, of course, since we have AMOLED, super deep, great contrast ratio. Things are a little bit too dark here, but that's also because of the preset, but this has been done really nice. Also colors, they pop since we have an AMOLED display. Things are a little bit oversaturated right now here because I use the color profile for vivid. If you use normal, you have a little bit more accurate true to life colors, but if I already have an AMOLED display, I want the colors to pop, and this is why I chose this. But it also has to be mentioned, we have color profiles. You have cold, you have vivid, you have normal, and then you even have custom, and this makes it for you easy to adjust to what you like. Viewing angles also very stable, as you can see here, absolutely solid. Not really a lot rainbow going on. The only minor flaw would be maybe the maximum brightness, because sunlight reliability was a little bit limited. I could still see everything, but I had a little bit of a harder time to get it done. So this has been it for the display. I like it a lot. Let's check the sound right now. And sorry for the car sound in the background, yeah, that had to happen, yes. But for the sound, the maximum volume is okay, it is acceptable, it's not really mind-blowing anything, it gets the job done. The sound balance is nice, we also have sound profiles, you can adjust it with an equalizer. Otherwise I would say not a whole lot of bass, the mids are solid, the highs are clear. The position, of course, on the back isn't the best, and as you can see, it can be blocked quite easily, but on the desk it works fine, no issues here. So I would say definitely no great sound, gets the job done easily, loud enough, sounds good, so it is good enough. As for the performance right now, the app has to load. I haven't loaded anything yet, just for you to see how long it takes. Okay, so here we are in a Twitter app, as you can see here, and since this video is now uploaded with 50 frames per second, you can actually see how extremely smooth things are. This is just amazing. Let's check another app. Let's check Next Gen Reader. Loading times are acceptable. It has to sync, but this is okay. Let's get into it. Once again, super smooth. Okay, not a lot going on here. Let's check something else. Okay, here. As you can see here, super smooth, super nice. No problems here at all. And the same thing also. And I have to mention one thing before anyone starts complaining. Yes, this is Windows 10 preview, but the performance on this version, and I already made a video for that, is so good that I can show it off. It is not quite on 8.1 level yet. 8.1 was a little bit better, but I think it is obvious. Things are super smooth, and that is the same as on 8.1. So I wouldn't have done the review, and I did all my testing on 8.1 if it wouldn't have been close enough. So I can tell you the performance is very, very smooth. And what I also noticed, it is pretty much the exact same as on the 830. We have this slight little stutter when you go back to the home screen, but due to AMOLED seems like has more frames per second, the scrolling itself seems even smoother, and everything is really, really buttery. Limited multitasking as always with 1 GB. I would wish for more, but that's kind of the habit of these budget phones. But it is pretty much the same performance as the 640, the 640 XL, the 830, so you don't lose out on anything here. As for the battery life, 1 hour of charging gets you to 45%, and after slightly more than 3 hours you are at 100%, and that is an okay value. As for the battery level, I would say, for the battery life, I would say it is absolutely convincing and solid, because I got through the course of one day 4.5 hours of screen on time with a quite high brightness setting, because the screen just has one small issue, because I also googled that there is an odd issue that is kind of screen dimming. If I notice sometimes if I hold the display in some kind of different angle towards the light source I have, the screen dims, and this can be prevented if you just use a little bit of a higher brightness setting. And people just said if you use the quick setting for high, this doesn't occur, but it is there. It is a little bit annoying, and a few people already saw this as a deal breaker. For me it wasn't, because at home I haven't had this issue, but at work I noticed, maybe because of different lighting, but that's the thing. But I would say 4.5 hours should be no problem with already a quite high brightness setting, and over the course of 2 days I see 3 hours and a half possible. So the battery life definitely should be more than good enough for 1 day, and if you have a little bit of lighter use, 2 days I don't see as a problem. As for the software, I already said it, we have Windows 10 right now running here, so that's why I won't really show off a lot, because you can just check one of my videos that I made, 10 pros and cons, that will give you a little bit more insight on Windows itself, on the software part. But we have to mention a few little nice things, like again, once the double tap to wake, as you can see, not always working, double tap to sleep, brightness profiles, sound profiles, and pretty much else is there. I could maybe I should mention the app gap, but things are getting way better recently, and I'm pretty sure once Windows 10 is out and universal apps will appear, this has just become better over time. So you get pretty much all the basics, and what you don't get, you'll have to work around. Okay, now as for the camera. This phone is known as the selfie cam. And here are just a few selfies, even though I usually don't ever show selfies in my videos because I don't really like the front cams anyways. But I have to say the outcome is quite nice. Of course, the camera can't do anything for what's in front of it, but yeah. As for the camera on the back though, I'm actually convinced, because yes, it maybe only has 6.7 megapixels, but still for some reason actually surprised me and impressed me how sharp the pictures were. Very detailed, very nice color balance, very accurate, focus was really nice. So I'm actually really impressed how well the pictures turned out. No issues at all. Of course, low lighting was a little bit worse, but still good. And I just think the pictures you can take with this are really nice. If you use the manual mode, you can even improve your outcomes. But I have to say, for someone who mostly shoots with auto, I almost never got a bad shot, and that is already great. As for the video and also for the pictures, I have to mention the one part. The exposure is a little bit odd. If you go into direct line with a bright background, you see things getting overexposed, and if you go just a little bit lower and things are darker and you don't have this bright background, then things will get a little bit too dark. So there is a little bit of exposure thing. This was noticeable in videos and on pictures. That's maybe one of the smaller downsides I see, but I noticed this on all the other Lumias as well. So that's it for the camera. I think it is totally okay, even though it doesn't have the most megapixels on this world, but the outcome of the pictures were just great. Okay, let's get to the recap then. I already said it, exceptional, class leading, and I would say best design I've personally ever used. I just love how it feels in the hand, and if they would just make a new version here with updated specs, not change anything, I would be absolutely happy, because the feel in hand is one of a kind. You really have to use it yourself, and maybe you don't think so, maybe it's a personal thing, but I absolutely adore it. The display itself is really nice, great qualities. Sunlight reliability maybe not the best, but therefore with AMOLED, super deep blacks, a really nice white, punchy colors, and still color profiles are available, so the display itself is really nice. Still just 720p though, not really the biggest issue. The sound, as on pretty much all the Lumias I recently reviewed, the weakest part doesn't mean it's really bad. It's just not impressive. It is loud enough, sounds good enough, the placement isn't the best, but it gets the job done quite okay. As for the performance, pretty much the same as on all the other Snapdragon 400 equipped phones. Smooth, nice, not maybe snappy or fast, and the multitasking with 1 GB a little bit limited, but in overall, as with the way how Windows works, absolutely fine. As for the software, still 8.1 with the latest updates, everything was nice, but we are getting closer and closer to Windows 10, so you will get an upgrade for sure, but even for right now with 8.1, the job gets done just nicely. As for the camera, I think the camera is absolutely okay. Not the most megapixels in this world. There are definitely a lot more phones with better cameras, but for this price range, I can absolutely be okay with the camera because the other qualities are great. I can live with a little bit of a less great camera than, for example, on the 830 if I have this feel in hand, this great display, and this very good battery life. So, is it recommendable? I can't really say anything because do I have to? The title already said, is this my most favorite budget Windows phone? So of course it is recommendable. I absolutely love it. it is still a budget phone, it is still a Windows phone, think of that whatever you want, but man, I just wish for a new one with a little bit if they would just make a 1080p display with a more recent Snapdragon, I would be all over it, because I, as a YouTuber, just want a high-end phone. But for this price, I think the qualities are almost unmatched, at least as a whole package, and I can't really say anything else anymore. Okay, this was my review of the Lumia 745. I hope it was helpful. If you have any more questions, just leave them in the comments. If you like the video, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Okay, until next time, bye. That was a good spin.